So Paramount have been very busy, and so has everyone else who is investigating them. The European Union's regulatory arm is investigating into the Paramount-Warner Bros merger over the financial backing of 3 Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds. You may remember me talking about this in a previous video. As a reminder, those 3 Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds are Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, Qatar's Investment Authority, and Abu Dhabi's Investment Authority. I reported that these 3 fund authorities backed their $111 billion deal with a whopping $24 billion. Now the EU have set a provisional date of July 14th as a deadline to investigate this deal under the law. Although Paramount have previously said that the Middle Eastern authorities and investors will not have any board representation or voting rights in the Paramount-Warner Bros deal, Congressional Democrats have urged the Trump administration to review the proposed deal under the US foreign ownership regulations. The White House have not yet responded to this. I'm personally glad that this foreign backing by the 3 Middle Eastern funds is being looked into, because I highly doubt that a 21% investment into this deal is hardly going to bring any ROI or any kind of reward. The fear is that the countries behind these funds will have some kind of say or stake in 1 or 2 of the subsidiaries that's involved in the deal, i.e. CNN. And I don't think that's an unfair or wild judgment. I think it's well worth the EU looking into this, and I will certainly be keeping up to date with their conclusion of the matter. Let me know what you think. Do you think there's a cause for concern behind this funding? Because the EU aren't the only ones that are investigating into this merger. The Competition and Markets Authority, CMA for short, have also jumped on the investigation bandwagon. The CMA are the UK's competition regulator, and they are due to announce their decision on the first phase of this investigation and whether it will approve the deal or refer the merger for a more in-depth probe. That will be on August 7th. Under the first phase of the inquiry, the CMA will look into whether a deal may harm competitiveness in an industry or region within the UK. I'll be looking out for the outcome of that investigation too. This next story is hilarious to me. So Paramount are obviously feeling the heat of this merger, and they're kind of freaking out, and have apparently accused Netflix of trying to poison regulators and other stakeholders over this $111 billion deal. Paramount's chief legal officer, McCann Dalrahim, has alleged that Netflix is lobbying hard against Paramount's deal with Warner Bros. He says, Netflix's panic-level response and scorched earth campaign to try and poison regulators and other stakeholders against the transaction shows just how serious Netflix takes Paramount as a scaled competitor. Apparently, Netflix's scorched earth tactics revolve around comparing Paramount's Warner Bros. Merger with Disney's acquisition of 21st Century Fox in 2019, and allegedly warning that big studio mergers lead to lower content output and reduce competition in the industry. He goes on to say, we understand that as part of its broader proxy war against the transaction, Netflix has tried to persuade the Teamsters and other stakeholders that Disney's acquisition of Fox had a negative impact on content production and labor opportunities. Frankly, Netflix's sky is falling narrative departs significantly from the ground truth reality of what actually happened. And before I could even give my own stance and commentary on this, Netflix actually responded. They went on to say, these claims from Paramount Skydance are absurd. We walked away from this deal months ago and remained focused on our own business, not theirs. Ultimately, it's up to the regulators to approve this deal and determine if it is in the best interest of the industry and all concerned. I feel it's absurd as well. Not to say that Netflix aren't capable of doing such a thing, because it wouldn't be surprising if a rival company were running a smear campaign against the other company who managed to win the merger over them. As Netflix said, they are the ones that walked away. They could have easily just bid higher if they were that desperate for Warner Bros. In the first place. To me, the way Netflix handled the whole ordeal while they were still in the bidding race didn't give desperation or urgency. They named their price, and when they essentially felt they got priced out by Paramount, they walked away. They knew their limits, and they weren't going to throw even more ridiculous amount of dollars at the deal, and I respect it. Due to that power play, I don't feel running a shady smear campaign against Paramount will be a good use of their time, especially as they don't want the bid anymore. Paramount already have everyone coming from all sides, criticizing and negating their merger move, so Netflix have no need to add more fuel to the fire. Anyway, I think the pressure may have got to Paramount's head. They may have some logic to the accusations, but it doesn't negate all the other scrutiny they're getting from everyone else. On a side note, the Department of Justice has approved Paramount's $111 billion acquisition, which removes a major regulatory roadblock to completing the merger. So in Paramount's eyes, it doesn't look like Netflix's so-called scorched earth campaign is working. Speaking of scrutiny, we have an update on the last report I gave around the US states suing Paramount. California have specifically hired what is being reported as a superstar tech lawyer to use in case they decide to file a lawsuit against Paramount's $111 billion deal. Robert Van Ness is his name, and he is known for leading tech companies across Silicon Valley. Robert met with California Attorney General Rob Bonta's office on Friday to discuss a role on the case. Nothing has been confirmed, but California and these other states that Robert will be representing clearly mean business. We have another update on a previously reported story. The Directors Guild of America have reached a new deal on a 4-year contract. Last month, the DGA entered negotiations with a focus on creating favorable working conditions to boost jobs for its members, revise its union health plan, and seek a larger role in shaping the use of AI tools. This longer 4-year deal is expected to ensure labor stability and allow for longer-term business planning. Now, this last story is part of a bigger case that took place towards the end of last year in December. The death of famous filmmaker and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Reiner. Rob Reiner is famous for directing films When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, and one of my all-time favourite Tom Cruise films, A Few Good Men. Their son Nick Reiner is allegedly the murderer of his own parents and will be facing his criminal trial in September this year. It has been reported that he is seeking access to an individual trust that was established by his parents in order for him to rehire a powerhouse attorney for his upcoming trial in September. Nick filed a probate petition in Los Angeles in order to access some of the $1.5 million placed in the trust, which he says was supposed to be distributed to him on his 30th birthday. Per the petition, the trust had unambiguous mandatory distributions. Half the value was supposed to be distributed to him when he turned 30 and the other half when he turned 35. Nick says that he didn't receive any of these distributions in 2023 when he turned 30. Nick Reiner had drug issues throughout his teen years and into adulthood, and he has been in rehab facilities more than a dozen times since he was 14. According to 2 sources familiar with the investigation, Nick Reiner has been prescribed medication to treat schizophrenia before the killings. It's just a really sad and shocking chain of events, and I'll be keeping an eye out for the outcome of the trial. That's all I have for TWIF this week in film. Paramount are in the hot seat, guys, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Let me know what you think of the topics, and I'll meet you in the comments.